bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well, good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Good evening. Today's Wednesday, November 15th, 319 days into the new year, just 46 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? That's right. It's Wednesday. And tonight, very special guest, Dannion Brinkley. That's right. He's here. We're going to discuss, well, it's Dannion, so we have to do NDE, right? We've got to do the near-death experience. But we're also going to discuss the Las Vegas shooting. He lives in Las Vegas. We've got some revelations that are going to happen tonight on the show, so get ready for that. Tomorrow is another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live, followed by open lines all night long. Now, speaking of open lines, later on tonight, I will do just that. Dannion and I will take your phone calls. Now, if you've never experienced a night with a Dannion on Fade to Black, get ready for that. Because if you want to have yourself read, and I mean the true you, whatever it may be, Dannion has the ability to take a peek inside of you. Now, it may not be what you want to hear, but Dannion is the very best. Is it a gift? You know, when you get struck by lightning twice, and you're on this radio show to tell us about it, you've got an ability. You've got something that is given to you. So if you would like to experience that tonight, and it's a lot of fun when it happens, he is the best. So whatever it is, maybe you've got a concern with your life, or maybe you've lost a loved one, or maybe you want answers about your past, or the Akashic Records, just you need somebody to take a peek. Then Dannion is the guy, and it's a lot of fun when it goes down. Okay, so we will do that. We'll open up the phone lines tonight and take some phone calls, and I love it when we do that with Dannion. So, like I said, prepare for that and get ready, and we'll do that in a little bit. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough, at JChurchRadio. You can also like us on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everything is Fade to Black, Jimmy Church Radio. Go right now to our website. You know the buttons right there. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Everything, get it all done. If you want to hang out with us on Twitter, which is one of the funnest things to do, is Twitter. Now that it's 280 characters, you've got double the fun. Okay, so you want to do that. It is hashtag F2B, right? Hashtag F2B on Twitter is the sandbox. And if you have any questions or comments during the show tonight, use hashtag F2BQ. All right. That goes straight in here to me. Well, it all does, but Fade to Black questions, just keep that to questions. Like, here, Eric Stitt, the famous artist, right? He's posting GIFs in the question feed. Look, Eric, when I look up, I love you, brother. You got talent. But when I look up to F2BQ, I'm looking for questions. I'm looking at a dancing alien in a tank top. Where is that from? Why do I is this a video game? What is that? I do want to know. Eric, you're entitled. You can go ahead and do that. You can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you a hard time. But what is that from? Somebody let me know. Firefox browser is saying error 504. Is anybody having any errors on our website? That's strange. Let me know in Twitter, and Rita will get right on top of that. That's weird. A 504? I don't even know what 504 is. I don't like any error message. But if you guys are having any problems, do let me know. Okay. Where am I? Questions or comments, hashtag F2BQ. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Okay, I got some breaking news. Right before the show tonight, and I'm talking about, if you go and look right now, you will see that the press releases went out nearly exactly 1 hour ago. They started 1 hour ago. I posted, when did I post it? I can't even tell. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Somebody help me, please. I posted exactly. It's such big news. It's such big news. Right here, 50 minutes ago. Okay, so I was one of the first to break this. Da Vinci's Salvador Mundi. Okay, Salvador Mundi, savior of the world, just sold at auction for $450 million. Yeah, $450 million. Now, some estimates, if you go, they say that Mona Lisa is the most famous piece of artwork in the world, and it is. That's fine. And that it doesn't really have a price tag on it, but they were guesstimating, and I've read things, $400 million, $300 million, $400 million. But it's considered priceless. But this thing went up for sale and fetched $450 million today. The bidding war lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and some very, very rich people fighting over this painting that looks like Mona Lisa. Now, it's Christ holding a crystal ball. And it's a pretty interesting painting to look at. It's fabulous. There's no doubt about it. But $450 million. So how many billions do you have to have in order to afford something like this? Because let's say you've got $4 billion, right? You're a billionaire. $2 billion. Is your wife going to let you take 1/4 of everything that you have and pop it into a painting, right? 450. How much? We're talking about people with some crazy money. I don't know if there's a group of investors. There's a couple of stories out there about who bought the painting, but nonetheless, $450 million sold today. Originally, the painting sold at auction a few decades ago, 5 decades ago, for $59, 45 pounds or something like that. $59 because they didn't think it was real, right? So it sold for $59. And then a group of investors turned around and bought it for $10,000 and had the painting restored. And that's when they found out that it was real. Then this Russian bought it for $120 million, I don't know, 10 years ago. And he's broke today, needed some money. He thought it was going to sell for $100 million. Sold for a little more than that, $450 million earlier today. Now, Also, I do want to get this out of the way really quick. We have exactly 2 weeks left for our late night podcast star contest. 2 weeks left. If you haven't gotten it together, get it together. Enter the contest. All you have to do is a few things. One, you have to register as a Fadernaut. No purchase necessary. Very simple. Just go to our website and register as a Fadernaut so we can verify who you are and your email address. That's simple. So you register as a Fadernaut. And you must live in the United States. Simple. We can't comply with international laws around the world, especially when you're finding the next podcast star. There are some countries out there that don't want us to do that. Think about it. So we can't comply with that. But you have to live inside of the United States. And then you have to pitch us. Just a nice official pitch. I need 3 things. I need an audio recording of your podcast show idea with your voice on it. I don't care how you record it. Record it on an iPhone, an Android, your computer, your tablet, whatever you got. Just make a recording and get that to us, right, with your show idea. Then we need your podcast name. And then the third thing that we need is artwork. I want you to create a logo and a banner. Hold on. Bring that in here. Let's put that on the cam. This is what I'm laughing about, everybody. Just so you know, Rita just brought in a big plate full of Hershey's Kisses peanut butter cookies. Look at them bad boys. All right. I'll take one. Thank you. Man, those are hot and chewy. Look, I can bend it on camera. Look at that. Oh, man. Don't you guys want to be me? All right. So, Hershey's peanut butter cookies. I need artwork, logo, banner that you would use for a website or a promotion. Okay, so get that to us. All entries must be received by November 30th, 2017. I don't want to intimidate all of you out there. I expected very talented people to make the effort in getting in on this contest. It's a special contest. We are going to make you a star. We're going to give you the gear that you need. We're going to give you the recognition. We're going to do everything for you. This is a gift for the right person. So I expected talented people to enter this contest, and it is great. The talent so far has been absolutely amazing. We're going to be having a rough choice in on this. There's going to be some fights. It's that good, and we want to hear from you. I've gotten a lot of emails. So, should I do it, man? Should I? What should I do? You know what? Enter the what have you won lately? Probably nothing in your whole life. This is your chance. Okay? It's that simple. I know you've got something to say, and you just haven't had a way to do it, or a chance, or somebody that will say yes. We will. The right person is going to be the next podcast star. Think about that. All right? Just go to jimmychurchradio.com. At the top of the page, click on Game Changer. All of the contest rules and how to enter are right there. Good luck. I cannot wait. Just based on what we have gotten so far, I am blown away. And I want to make sure. See, this is the thing. When you do a contest like this with Tascam, and who is, has provided us with the grand prize, Tascam Mini Studio US42, microphone, headphones, cables, everything that you need to do this, that the winner has to be shiz nickel. It has, whoever we whip out, there's high expectations here. I was dreading it. I was like, man, what if, I'm telling you, the entries have been unbelievably great. Unbelievably great. So bring your A game. All right? November 30th is the cutoff point. And we want to announce the winner around Christmas. So we want it to be a really cool Christmas gift, and we'll do it on the Christmas show or somewhere in that area. Okay, it's going to take that long to figure this out, to fight through this. It's going to be great. All right. Unity Workshops is in the middle of their production for their first series of podcasts. They do need your help. It is a community. All right. Producers, writers, video, audio, artwork, production, recording, all of that. Editing, video editors. So audio editing. Please contact the Unity Project at theunityproject.org. You can write John at modernmasters.org or Rita at jimmychurchradio.com and let us know how you would like to help out. We have, and again, thank you to everybody. I am so impressed with the effort that this community is putting forward. These podcasts are going to be amazing, and it's going to go on for years and years and years. Be a part of the team. You want to be able to say, hey, I was there in the beginning. It's theunityproject.org. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, where we have over 755 archive shows, just $2 a month. Click on the podcast banner at jimmychurchradio.com. And you can also become a Fader Not in our membership section. Just talked about that, where you will get everything that you want that a Fader Not deserves. You can get the Bunker Cam, commercial-free downloadable archives, autographed hats, T-shirts, all that stuff. Just go to our membership area and become a Fader Not today. All right, all of our sponsors here, 3, I can't believe it, 3, Life Change Tea, River Moon Coffee, and New Pharma are all going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, February 9th through the 12th, 2018 at the LAX Hilton. Come and hang out with us. Tickets and lodging and everything else that you need is at consciouslifeexpo.com. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Do you remember Chad Kroeger? Who knows who Chad Kroeger is? Let's see. I'm gonna divert this over to a tweet deck. Let's see who's the fastest. Who is Chad Kroeger? Because it's his birthday today. Do you even care? Oh man, Chad Kroeger, the Nickelback frontman, is 43 years old. All right. Nobody from Canada is allowed to post my next question. Name one Nickelback song. I dare you. Name one Nickelback song. Nurse Nancy. Really? You know who Chad Kroeger is? That's not true. I won Raiders tickets once. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. All right. OTD. On this day in history. OTD. 1956. Elvis makes his movie debut in Love Me Tender. Yeah, great movie. Fader fact. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about Antarctica here in just a bit. Fader fact. Nickelback song, cricket. Nope, got nothing. That's good. Kelly, you deserve something. 5 cents back. Poor Nickelback, man. Poor Nickelback. I mean, they're just the brunt of everything, right? All right. Okay, Fader fact. There are more than 40 airports in Antarctica. You didn't know that, did you? 40. There are 40 airports in Antarctica. We got like 3 in California. There are 40 in Antarctica. Tonight, very special guest, Dannion Brinkley, is here. We're going to be taking phone calls later on in the show, so get ready for that. It's going to be a dynamic conversation tonight. It always is with Dannion. Tomorrow night is Thursday, so we're going to have Fader Night, open lines all night long. John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, and we're going to open up the phone lines in a little bit and go for it tonight too as well. Well, the announcement happened today. Came from Nat Geo, of all sources, that Antarctica was covered with lush forests. That's right. An expedition between November 2016 and January 2017 uncovered 13 fossil fragments from trees that thrived over 260 million years ago, before the mass extinction, leading scientists to believe that at one point, Antarctica was completely covered in green. Now, we knew that, right? But to have this announcement, now, it goes a little bit more beyond that. But check this out. The period in question is most likely between 400 million and only 14 million years ago. Now, the 13 fossils are some of the best preserved plant life ever in the world. And Antarctica preserves its history instantly. It's instant. Now, what they were explaining today, they were explaining that they suspect that I can't look at pictures of Chad Kroger. You guys are, that is just painful to look at. It's, you know what's going to get a retweet. All right, there you go. All right, you guys happy now? I got that burned into my retinas. Is that the way that everything is preserved, that they were more likely fossilized, went from tree, went from living to fossil in a week. I don't even know how that's possible. They were also saying that that parts of these trees were alive as they were being fossilized. Now, that's pretty wild. That they were frozen instantly, that the way that everything is preserved here, that it happened, there was no breakdown in anything. They just fossilized and were preserved. Now, this is the other part that's interesting, and it was talked about in the press release today, which is this, that they are speculating that parts of Antarctica came down from the north, and again, this is something that we all knew. Okay, but due to the shifts in the continental plates, that parts of India, parts of South America, parts of Africa, parts of Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand broke apart and floated down, and that was part of it. Now, I'm not buying into that, and especially 400 million years ago. This is what I'm suspecting here, that Antarctica moved. It moved. And at one point, it was covered in life. Not only trees, but animals, humans. And this announcement is close. It's close. And they're not going to be able to deny this. I didn't know that there were 40 airports in Antarctica. I didn't know that. There's a lot of air traffic that is obviously going down there. There's a lot of expeditions. It is closed off to you and I. The tourism there is very limited. You can't go out and check things out. But to have something like this happen when you've got a couple of choices here. One, you believe academia up until last year that Antarctica has just been buried under frozen ice, and it's been the southern polar cap forever since Earth was created. Or that it moved. And at one point, it was covered. And just think about that. Coming down from the Pacific or the Indian Ocean, you know, the continents break apart, and then it shifted down south. And then it got cold. Think about that. Right now, this announcement is just absolutely incredible. Also, I wanted to... it's this. When we are talking about different periods of extinction, okay, different periods, and if they are going back to 400 million years, and that Antarctica was green, and that it possibly moved from the north going down south, what was there before the mass extinction? We are talking about species that are not here anymore. We'd like to find that out. Was it dinosaurs? Was it not? Humans? Was it not? Was there something else that were there? I'll say the A word right now, Atlantean. But the facts now are starting to play out. If this is 400 million years ago, before the greatest extinction in the history of the planet, then what was there? What was walking? What was walking? You know, I just want to know this, and I want to know this now. I think that this announcement, when we're talking about this drip, 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 we have a new exoplanet that was just announced over next to Ross 128. And this may be, it's the second closest planet besides, it doesn't matter. That's what happens when I brain freeze. The second closest planet to us, it's 11 light years away. And so when we take this into account, what they are saying, and the red dwarf that it is next to, that it's probably got water. We were talking about this earlier this week, that it is the perfect size. Everything is ready to go. Now, the announcement with this, along with it, is this is the one that's probably got alien life, right? So we get that announcement. The drip, drip, drip that we are getting from not only out of Antarctica, inside of our own solar system, and the exoplanet question that seems to me now, and I did a bunch of calculations on this today, it's about once a week. There's 52 weeks in the year. We've done now close to 3,000, over 3,000 exoplanets in the last 5 years. So it is coming at us fast, and it's coming at us strong. This drip, drip, drip of disclosure, I think that it is going to be out of our government's hands. And that's what I'm hoping for here. I don't want to hear from anybody else. I want it to be an accident. I want it to be from the private side. I don't want it to come from the government, because I want the government to have to answer for all of those questions. So with that, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight is Dannion Brinkley. We're going to be talking about the Las Vegas shooting. We're going to talk about near-death experiences as well, and we're going to be taking your phone calls. But Dannion lives in Las Vegas. And he's a very smart guy, and he's got connections. And there is stuff being talked about right now in Las Vegas about the shooting and about Stephen Paddock that is going to blow your mind. So we're going to do all of that and much more tonight with Dannion. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with our guest, Dannion Brinkley. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Wednesday nights. Fade to Black. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Very simple, at JChurchRadio. You can follow Dannion at Dannion Brinkley. I think it's Catherine and Dannion. Is it Dannion? We'll find out in just a second. You know, with Twitter, you know, what pops up in Twitter, what it really is, and then what the real at is two different things. We'll find out from Danny in a second. He is the author of Secrets of the Light, Saved by the Light, and At Peace in the Light. He is loved and respected worldwide for his inspirational lectures on the near-death experience and hospice care and complementary and alternative healing practices and self-awareness. But he survived numerous brushes with death. That's right. He was struck by lightning twice. I say it all the time. It just still, I just can't believe it. Blows my mind. Survived heart failure, open heart surgery, brain surgery, and in the past 25 years of volunteer service, he has been at the bedside of over 600 people at the point of death and more than 2,000 in their final days. And the Twilight Brigade, we talked about this with Dannion this past weekend over at Coast to Coast. What the Twilight Brigade is and his staff and what he does, and his offices are right here in Los Angeles at the VA hospital. 19 years, going on their 20th year officially, 19 years on Coast to Coast. And now, Dannion, I guess we're like 4 years now on Fade to Black. Pretty cool, huh?
I think it is. I mean, I think it's great. I just appreciate watching this, listening to you. This is not your father's radio show, and that was a good spot.
It's not your father's radio show.
Because things are changing. The value of what you're not alternative. You're a perspective about reality that is really closer to the stuff that we're being fed. And you're creating guests that bring guests on that give people a chance to stop, take a breath, and look at the same information from another perspective.
Well, you know what I really enjoy is the day after you're on with us is the phone call that I get from you saying, you know what, Jimmy, thank you for yesterday. And that means more to me than anything. And not every guest does that, Dannion, but you do. And you appreciate not only us, but our community and the world that we live in. That's the way that you live your life.
Right. I mean, and I appreciate when someone affords an opportunity to get across my basic premises. And then it's also that I don't have to be the dead guy. I'll always enjoy that moment, and you're a good host, and where you go with your questions, and I know most of them are being handwritten to you on postcards by Rita, but other than that, you maintain it very well, and I appreciate it. I just like the freedom that comes with this show. Like I wanted to tell people that Kat and I are doing a boat cruise. I know I'm doing a commercial, but we're doing a boat cruise called Passion and Purpose. March 18th to the 25th this year. And if people listen and they feel like they need to go to on this boat cruise with us, it's Divine Travel, and you just look up Divine Travel and look at Passion and Purpose, because it's Kat and I doing a show. we all have to stop and take a breath. The world is changing very fast, Jimmy. Everybody you have on tells everybody that it is changing, and it's not time that's speeding up, it's creation that's speeding up. And we don't have any choice but to adapt to it. So by you letting me on the radio gives me a chance to get my version out.
One of the things that I enjoy is when I see you speak, there'll be 1,000 people there, 500 people, 1,000 people. And the first thing that because it is such a touchy subject, the near-death experience and what you went through, right? And sometimes there's a mood in the audience, but then you crack the ice and you make everybody laugh right away. And then they start to figure out you're not here to bum people out. No. You're the exact opposite of that, aren't you?
Yeah, because the whole point of it is this, Jimmy. When people have to deal with death, because I have these two words. One is called guaranteed and the other is called inevitable. And I can guarantee you that inevitably that you will be leaving here. If you're breathing, you're leaving. And this is without any question. The biggest issue is where do you go next? Well, I have insight and knowledge based on those two factors and being a hospice volunteer for 40 years. I have 2,000 people, and it was 347 people when they took their last breath. I don't know where that number came from, but that's the actual number. So when you stop and you look at it from that point of view of going through these three experiences and then watching what people talk about, the greatest control mechanism ever put in place is religion's context of what happens after death and those choices thereof. And they sit deep-seated in this term called sin and guilt and things like that, and people never pay attention to what is guaranteed and inevitable. You will be leaving. So what I try to do is make fun of it. My legendary saying, well, what are they going to do? Kill me? Well, big deal. Who does that scare? I have the T-shirt for that. So once you take the edge off, and you're talking about something that's going to happen, and an event that is now called the near-death experience is a byproduct of allopathic health care. They have found better ways to keep the body alive that allows us to keep coming back. So it's not a religious experience, it's a medical experience. And what happens to us who have had this experience, what a lot of us come back and say is resounding reinforcement of the divinity that is each one of us. And that's where I come from. And when people get a chance to laugh at their own self through other people and how I've structured my presentations, and I'm really proud. And the other thing, too, is when I call you to thank you, I listen to the show and I listen to where that show's going to go, and I have my little messages that I want to get across, but how well you read the guest, and how you ask those questions, just like with William Henry. I mean, it was historic. That wasn't just good. It was historic. I know it would hurt someone's feelings. It wouldn't hurt mine, but I would have a historic archive.
Yeah. Well, I have a list of questions here that I've been wanting to ask you for a long time, and certainly some of these are being handed to me from Rita, and thank you for throwing me under the bus. But one of them is this: from the moment that we're born, Dannion, when we are very, very young, up until 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, we're not afraid of death. We don't even understand death. Right? It's not part of our DNA to be afraid of death, but that's what we are taught. And by the time we're through our teenagers to becoming an adult, we have this fear that is programmed into us of death. We are completely afraid of it. Why is that?
That'd be two reasons. Number one, it has to do with chemicals and hormonal, how the body connects. The body, the mind, and emotions are one facet. Even emotions are a facet of mind and body. And then you have the ethereal bodies. It's not a soul, but it's an ethereal self, an astral self. Okay, well, where those two connect, based on the part of the evolution of growing and maturing in this dimension as physical. There is chemical changes that cause hormone releases that makes people become more self-aware. What happens when you're 12 and 13 and it's all about you? It's you developing self-awareness. Okay, that in itself constitutes self-doubt, but you have to keep pushing forward. Okay, so that's one place. The other part is what I always get on is religion and the choices that are being forced on you to control you. So when you add religions, institutions, and governments based on affecting how you see yourself, knowing that at 13 to around 18, 19 years old, there's a chemical reaction. You know, everybody gets horny. There's a whole chemical set of structures that go in there that's about preservation and gratification. So you have to look at both of those at the same time. You look at the fact that we're all maturing and growing, testosterone, estrogen, all the things that's happening in everybody's body, because that's the body's awareness of itself. Then there is our ethereal self that we have to maintain in a faith, what appears to be a faith-based psychology, which is religion. Well, I know that I don't have to have faith in that there's a life after death. And I know that this life is structured. How you leave here and how you come back here is structure. That what's happening to us in our lives and what's going on is structured. And how we ebb and flow in those two places, self-gratification and preservation, and in the ethereal self-awareness constitutes that.
The other question that I have for you, and I'm sure that everybody wants to ask you this question, but to be at the bedside with these veterans, you are going to be, in most cases, you know, the last person that they see, the last face, and the last words that they hear. But for you, right, and for you, it's the exact same thing. More than likely, you are going to hear the last words from this veteran that they ever say in their life. Do you ever get used to that?
I said in utter amazement. When you come from a place, Jimmy, that I don't have a crisis about this thing we call death. It's taught me to take better care of myself. But that place doesn't even faze me. To sit at the bedside knowing what I know that you have what's called a panoramic life review. And no matter how casual people put it, this is what happens. You will see your whole life pass before you in a 360-degree panorama. You will be amazed at what you see. Okay? Then you watch it from a second-person point of view as if you were your own best friend. And then you literally become every person that you ever encounter. And you feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. Knowing that and going through it 3 times over a 22-year period, knowing that, then you construct a way to see your identity, your spiritual identity. And I always say that when you have your life review, it's that if the divine could not come today and the divine sent you or God sent you in the life you just reviewed, what difference did you and God make? Okay, well, the greatest thing that I could do to practice what I preach is to be at that bedside of a veteran, because I know what it's like to get shot at. I know what they're going through, but I don't know, but I'm able to sit and listen and create a program called the Twilight Brigade that teaches a person to empower themselves to look past their personal fears and to learn an art for those who they love and those who have loved them. So to sit at that bedside and watch the transition of that soul, I won't deny that in the hundreds of people I've been with, I would say 18 times out of this 347, I have seen utter, absolute miracles, okay? And if I had to do like I do and crunch it, you know, I have to be obsessive compulsive and try to figure out a way it didn't happen, I would come up with 13 that are immutable. I can describe events of happiness, seeing the room filled with light, seeing the room filled with beings, seeing people get up out of their body, and sometimes, and I think it's not funny, but watching them be slightly dazed, They kept thinking, I know that they were thinking they were going to see Satan, but, didn't happen. And then watch people lift out of their bodies. So there is a joy in the search from that. I can be there in the presence of one of us, a divine soul, with the job done, going from this world to the next realm. And maybe, to be more honest, because I've been there before, I can glimpse that divine, loving place as that veil opens for them to pass. I can glimpse and touch that place for only just a second. So that's the real reason.
Is there a commonality between these moments of what they are saying or what they are asking, about their own lives? Is there one thing that keeps coming up for you that happens over and over again? Is there regret? Is there happiness? More likely than not, they are alone. They don't have their family at their bedside. They have you. So that gives, it's an opportunity for them probably to be a lot more honest.
Well, that's the whole key.
Right.
And some of them, Jimmy, I get to know, like I have known some guys in where I do most of my volunteering. I've known them 6 or 7 years. I'm in the hospitalized, what's called a CLC. And then some I only know a day.
Right.
Some I only know an hour because there's no one there and they're passing, and the VA head or the hospice lead will text us or call us, because somebody needs to be there. No vet need die alone no matter what. And so I hear some of the greatest conversations ever told and some of the greatest war stories ever to believe, and I get to see people searching for what they should have done in their life. And in this new book, like what I have a name for it, but Kat has a name for it called, I call it the Book of Us. It takes these things and puts them out. It's like the 10 things you need to know, to take these things and lay them out for people. Hey, everybody, this is what thousands of people have told me. This is the basic 3 things, and it's like 7 things, but there's these basic things you need to pay attention to. Is one is how much are you working and how happy are you at it, and not paying the things that you should have never paid. You should pay more attention to how, when you're in a situation, instead of reacting it to defend yourself, to react toward how to neutralize it, how to bring harmony back into it instead of to choose sides. And I hear it a lot. And then there's a lot of betrayal, unresolved issues. And I'll tell you something really funny. When I first started in the VA, because it was my calling, I knew that I could find my spiritual self, and this is where everybody finds their spiritual self, watching that moment or being a part of those moments, just like birth. Mm-hmm. Somebody else is going home. Mm-hmm. The veteran used to have to pay for their own meal. Okay, I mean, it was crazy. So I fought that to a dead standstill, and now the VA pays for that veteran's meal, and they couldn't call anybody. But wait. Slow
down for a second. Did you just say that a veteran who served our country in the hospital had to pay for his own food?
Yeah.
No. Is that true?
Yeah.
I'm about to blow a gasket.
Well, let me tell you something. You have no idea. But where I come from in this, and my fight.
Right.
I believe that the battle for the souls of humankind in Western consciousness will be fought in healthcare. And I've said that since 1975 because it's a part of the vision. I live by what was called the boxes of knowledge. It's what controls me. It's what pushes me forward in what I'm supposed to achieve. And to be very, very proud to tell you, I will have finished what I said I was sent back to do by the end of this year, which was the time that I was supposed to have it done, because I never followed what was my plan. There was a nature to how it was to unfold that benefited more in as it went along than if it had just happened, which was called the centers, these places that people could go where you could deal with grief and bereavement, and people who were diagnosed palliative and end of life could get a chance to go through a casual experience that would allow them to have a point of representation to what they're about to deal with and go through. And this was what my goal was. Well, I've had this since 92. I mean, I've had this program since 92, and I've just refined it. But I will end an era by the end of this year by creating this program in the Veterans Administration. It's the largest healthcare system in the United States.
Will you let me come and hang out with you in West Hollywood one day at the VA? I would.
You would love it.
It would be an honor. I mean, seriously, could I do it?
Absolutely, you would love it. You have no idea what happens, but you also get a chance. This is what I like about Twilight Brigaders, Jimmy. We are also, every 2 years, we become something called the constituent. We can vote our conscience because we've been there. That's the thing that becomes important about being a part of something like what we do. Your voice has value, and you think about when you see things, there's not trying to find something wrong like everybody tries to find something wrong. It's figuring out how to correct it, because these are human beings that serve this country, and some of it's just absolutely a horror story, but some of it is remarkably magnificent. Me, I fight from the inside out. I'm inside, and I've been in the same offices for 20 years, and I'm a complementary program that has gotten every award from every organization that gives out awards that really mean anything, American Legion and the VFW, and those kinds of organizations that's hands-on.
Right.
So President citations for every year. I mean, for every administration, and I've been through five VA organizations, so I see how it works. And I see that like I said the other night on Saturday night, this midterm election is the most powerful event in where we as veterans and where we as family members of veterans have more power this midterm, even more than the run for the next presidency. This midterm election, how it's managed and healthcare is being dealt with, everybody will see I was right when I said this in 1975 about health care.
Right.
So two things come from this. Number one, if I was dead for 28 minutes, well, where was I? Okay, well, I was in a place where I saw the future. I may not have understood it because I had no knowledge or understanding of this. They had to have a fresh one. People used to, Jimmy, how I am.
Right,
people used to say, they said, Dannion, why in the world do you think God would pick you? You like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I said, well, I can tell you why. They had completely run out of messiahs. They were scraping the bottom of the barrel, and they were down at the Angel Bar doing cloud shots.
Right.
And they said, I got an idea. Let's go put this on a jackass.
Right.
Let's kill Dannion. and so that's how I got the job. But the thing I was going to tell you was when guys couldn't call anybody in the VA, this is the long 20-year fight. I've been in the VA system 32 years. And in it, when they couldn't call anybody, their families in Ohio, and they're in a hospital in West L.A. So I got this guy named Bruce Perlin, who he was developing phone cards, and he had 20 minutes for $5. So I got him. I said, well, Bruce, give me a bunch of these cards because I got guys who can't call anybody. Because it's really important to find closure, Jimmy. People, the whole art of the Twilight Brigade is to find closure. How do I help this person find value in themselves as a spiritual being? And how, by listening to their final words, what I can do to help give them that sense of control and that sense of everything they know they've already given up. They're helpless and they know it. They've already given up. How can I give back power and control in that life?
Right.
Sometimes it was a phone call, and so Bruce gave me these cards, and I thank him so much. But I went in and would take these cards, and I would say, okay, we have to call somebody, Jimmy or Harry or whoever it is. You know, do you owe an apology to somebody? Do you need to tell somebody off? And I would say that this was 60-40, okay? You heard some of the greatest. I'd dial the phone, and I'd give them the phone, and you were talking to ex-wives and to children. You heard some of the most heart-wrenching conversations and tears, and, you know, really being sorry, and really me forcing them to do it, really getting them to make that sense of closure, and watching what happens when it does. But the best one, watching them after that, looking up at me, and I hang the phone up and looking. It's not just me; it's the whole Twilight Brigade team. Mm-hmm. But looking up at them, and them looking up at me, and that sense of closure and comfort and satisfaction is unbelievable. But the other one, the best one, was Harry. Harry's a big old guy, about 340, about 6'8", about 340.
Big boy.
Yeah, boy, and. You know, he was the typical character, you know, the big guy, tough guy, and so he was literally helpless. And I said, okay, who you want to call? I said, you got to find closure. I said, big as jerk as you are. And he said, well, I think I got one person I really want to call. And he had to get me he used 40 minutes, 2 20-minute cards, because once you pick up a 20 minutes for $5, after about 2 seconds of it, you don't have enough to make another call. Right. Well, that's how they made money.
Yeah.
The last 3 minutes was on the house, and that was their profit, because you couldn't make another call. So I used them, and he called these 2 guys, and he had gotten his ex-wife to get them together. You know, and to get them together, and you can see, because he was humble talking to her and asking her to do it for him. And he cussed him, Jimmy, for everything a human. He cussed him for every word you could think of. You low down, good for nothing. I've been waiting 32 years and he would just let him hold it. He handed the phone to me before the time ran out. He put his hands behind his head, and he took a breath, and that was the last breath he breathed.
Shut up.
That was the last breath he breathed. He had a smile on his face. He put his hands behind his head, took in a breath, and he went and let that out. That was it. Before I hung the phone up. Now, what in the world would somebody want to be a part of more than witnessing that kind of sense of finally fulfillment in 30 years of it? And somewhere along the line, me or somebody like me gave them the confidence to come to that place where you're in control no matter what. And I want most people to be loving and caring, but I think about that moment. And I helped create that.
Well, you know, and we got to take a break right here, Danny. But what's really funny is my question was, do you ever get used to it? But with an experience like that, the answer is no way. No, how could you? That is just absolutely amazing. Our guest tonight, Dannion Brinkley. And when we come back, I've got some more NDE questions that I've probably never sprung on Dannion. So stay tuned for that. And then we're going to discuss what's going on out there in Las Vegas, too, as well. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Dannion Brinkley is our guest. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas. Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Dannion Brinkley. That's right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And, Dannion, I want to go back to Coast to Coast on Saturday night because I said something there, and I really meant it. I want to say it again. And it's this. And this is not a joke. When you walk around, and I watch you, man, from the other side of the room, when you walk around, you've got this frigging beam of light, my friend, that it follows you. Are you aware of this?
You know, when you said it the other night, Jimmy, I had I've heard it. You know, I've heard people tell me exactly that. I mean, when you say it, that's a very critical eye. I mean, I appreciate the fact that as you see it and you recognize it, because that's a critical eye, because you've been around long enough that somebody's not going to run something off on you.
Right.
I think that's something that passes through me. I mean, everybody is the same. We're all powerful spiritual beings, and we have dignity, direction, and purpose. And the only thing that can ever go wrong in a being's life is they allow something to affect their dignity. Everybody, and I hear it in end of life, you know, and I came up with that term in the 76 or 77 when I kept trying to understand what all this was about, that everybody was a great, powerful, and mighty spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. You had to do something to become great and mighty. You were always a spiritual being. And this life constitutes that you have something that is a direction and a purpose that you chose, and you was co-chosen. You were chosen to come, and you chose to come. So it was a co-chosen deal when you came here. So once that becomes in place, the only thing that ever happens is people allow things to affect their dignity based on all the things we were talking about earlier, the hormonal nature of the growth of the mind and the body, and then the celestial or body and nature that grows based on the reason why you came, who you are, and the reason why you were chosen. Each of those constitutes doubt, but it also constitutes adventure. So I don't really know what it is, Jimmy. I mean, I hope I don't glow in the dark, but when I think about it, but I appreciate that, because what does that mean to you when you say that? Tell me what that means.
Well, for me, what it means is you are easy to find in a crowd. That's what it means to me. So there's that part of it, but it is an interesting thing to see, because we talk about auras and the way that people, you can see the good and the bad, nearly immediately. And we talk about this a lot. But for you, I mean, I have been in a dark bar. And you have walked in, and it's like somebody turned on the lights, and that's an interesting thing to observe. Okay, Dannion's here, but I wanted to ask you this, and I'm not enough making light of this, but it's just but you know something, there are a lot of people. What it tells me, because I go quantum, it tells me that based on this show and how you're evolving. Right. And how the show is evolving you, and it's a teamwork, you and Rita, that this has given you a heightened sense of observation, that what is happening to Jimmy Church is his personality is being overpowered by his empathic sensitivity. Because if you see that energy field around me, I mean, I don't generate it, but I allow ways that it passes through me, because in my heart I put out a focal intent. Has anybody told you today that they've loved you? And I use that as the nature of how I walk into a crowd, or I go in before a lecture, or how I do anything that has to do with me physically. I think that. Right. Right. And then maybe that is you seeing those rays going out to touch people or to bounce off people like radar or sonar, so that I know who to migrate toward and who I can best help. Let's clear up a couple of myths. Let's go back to some urban legend here. Over and over again, whether it's a Hollywood production or a documentary, and somebody that's talking about the near-death experience, they'll look in the camera, they'll talk to somebody and say, okay, well, the tunnel and this bright light. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Is there a tunnel? Is there a bright light? What actually goes on at that moment, Dannion?
Okay, once you lift out of your body, you acclimate. I call it the blue-gray place. The first two experiences, I never realized it as a place in consciousness within itself. I thought it was just me acclimating, okay, until the third one happened, where I realized that it was a place where people can trap themselves based on behavior patterns. The only thing that really goes wrong is if you create a disruptive behavior pattern, selfishness, or, like what capitalism has become for us, but you create that place, then there's a place where betrayal and guilt and sin, consciousness, is all that, you can trap yourself. But what you have to realize is once that moment is passed through, which is where most people pass through it, then what happens is there comes a barrier. I have heard, I personally was a tunnel. And the thing about the bright light was, for me, I could not see. The ball of fire that came when it came down the phone line and struck me and melted the phone, when it struck me and knocked me out of my shoes into the air and suspended me in the air and threw me back down on that bed, I could not see. The ball of fire burned my eyes. And, Jimmy, I wore welder's glasses for over a year. I couldn't go out in bright lights. I couldn't watch things. I couldn't have lights on. I mean, but from the time I lifted out of my body, I could see. And when this bright light came, and I came down this tunnel into this place it was a blue, silvery, shimmery light. What was wondrous to me was it didn't burn my eyes. That's where the Dannion bright light, my part of it, came from. Right. I could not only see that this beautiful, brilliant light, which the flash I was consciously thinking about, it did not hurt me. So I've heard bridges, lakes, meadows. There is a point at which you recognize a boundary. Okay, because I always said it was like peeling an onion. Layers of you come off. There are things like you come in and you've had 4 sets of clothes on because it was so cold. Mm-hmm. As you're starting down this tunnel, crossing this boundary, layers peel off that are unnecessary about what this adventure that you just went through was. So yeah, for a lot of people, there's the light. For a lot of people, there is the tunnel. But there is this other urban legend, like you were talking about, that I recently reheard it, that when people turn to the light, this minister said this because Lucifer was the morning light.
Right.
That's really the devil at the end of the tunnel. And that's where people get trapped. And then I heard a thing the other day from one of the UFOers that this is how the Pleiadians and the Greys are trapping you and recycling you by you returning to the light, by being pulled down the tunnel into the light. You know, I could hear all the really interesting stuff.
And what about, man, that is interesting. I'm just visualizing all of that. You brought it up, the panoramic life review. And we've also heard those same, that part of myth, that your life flashes before your eyes. Now, is that the same thing? Are we referring to the same thing? And are people spot on with that description?
Yeah, well, I've heard probably 30 basic descriptions. Mine is being obsessive compulsive. I mean, I'm obsessive compulsive, dead or alive. Doesn't really matter what level I'm in or what dimension I'm in. I'm studying everything.
Right.
And so I'm obsessive compulsive about it. But the life review to me was how I stated, because I have to break things down into value, Jimmy, and as it has to have a value, and then I have to compartmentalize it. This is how obsessive compulsive people are. I have to compartmentalize it. So when I went through what I saw in the panoramic life review, okay, and who I was that watched it, then I broke it down into those steps so that I could explain it to people in the early years. People were trying to get a grip on this, and now it's like mainstream. And I had to find ways to explain it. Some people say their life would flash before them. Okay, I believe mine was so in-depth the first 2 times because I wasn't sure, or they weren't sure, that I could make it back. I mean, I've thought about this over and over, because when you take that kind of lightning and you see the damage like what I'm going through now,
right,
and then you get staph infection that eats your heart, and you have to have open heart surgery with literally, like the guy told me, he said, if I don't get you prepped for surgery, you will be dead in 45 minutes.
Now, what about and again, we're getting back into, myth, urban legend, religion, the Bible, but
urban legend,
the suicides or the overdoses or the things that were brought upon, it wasn't an accident, it wasn't a natural death or a heart attack, something like that, or, inflicted on you, but it was something that you brought upon yourself. In that life review, what are we considering?
Well, I don't believe that those are what you would call like what happened to me the first time. I would equate it to the next 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they were open heart surgery and brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
No surviving chance.
Right.
So you went in there. Every time I ever go in the hospital, it's that's the first thing that comes up. So That's the two things. But people who have drug reactions and have a near-death experience, I think that's compartmentalized differently. Okay, because when in the early years studying suicides, they did a study. I think it was Bruce Grayson, or maybe it was Michael, but they did a study of people who had attempted suicide, and I found this to be true myself from talking to veterans who don't quite are able to pull it off, but the reason they're in that ward or tied down in that ward is because they were a danger to themselves, drug overdoses, and attempted suicides. But if a person had one of these experiences, and in the course of attempting suicide, they never, 98%, never ever attempted it again. And for those who had attempted it and came out of it, 95% of them went on to achieve it. Now that says a remarkable piece of science for what the near-death experience does. But you have to also keep in mind, a lot of these are drug-induced hallucinations that scares them so bad, that frightens them so bad, that they make the decision to change. Because a lot of times when you hear people's near-death experiences that are based on that kind of chemistry, you see the change in the patterns of those persons. But it's fear-driven, not love-driven.
And when you have that life review for, I would say, just probably 100% of everybody that is going through this has mentally blocked some bad events in their lives, right? And that they just don't want to recall, don't remember, don't talk about. They've blocked it out. Some bad thing that they've done in their past. Is this revealed in that life review?
Absolutely.
You can't sneak anything past, right? Is what
no,
I'm
it's not
getting.
going to happen. Nobody gets away with anything. You can forget it.
Right.
You got to. But the thing that I try to get across, Jimmy, is this: hey, everybody, this is all structured, and it's affected by your attitude. You know, how much. What is the intention of the action? Mine is to try to figure out how to do the best I could do, just like this radio show. I want to try to be the very best I could be and answer the questions in such a way that empowers this audience to begin to look at the passion and purpose in their life.
Right.
And to take a good look at this thing that we call death so that you can really live. And you live in a freedom and a sense of control of your life that you do not have now because you're taught to avoid it, and then you become frightened of it, and then you can be controlled and manipulated by it. Okay, so by not having this kind of knowledge. Look how casually, watch this, look how casually we're talking about an inevitable, guaranteed event, but with love and consciousness and support. You're holding the line of the urban legends, which is an excellent point of interviewship. And we're having these moments hoping to entertain and empower passion and purpose in everybody. And I didn't mean to bust you over, Rita, giving you those questions. But what I was doing was that's the playful way I am about paying attention to people's business without me even having to be there.
Right. Well, Kat is telling you what to say right now too. So
it works out.
Oh man! And this is something else that needs to be addressed. I have had you look dead in my eyes and say, no, Jimmy, I'm not afraid of death. What are you talking about? And when you look at me and say these things, you really mean it. But I need the audience to understand why you say that with such conviction.
Well, it's very easy. Look at my life. I mean, I grew up without any consciousness about any of this. I was a tough guy, a bully. There's no question about it. People know the story. I've been around here 40 years. But the transformational nature of what happens, if I died and went to hell, I'd be telling everybody that. once you go through this experience, the nature of how you view things, okay, and how you would view it changes. The person that saw the panoramic life review was not this person talking to you on the phone. When you get through that tunnel, or you walk across that meadow, or you get through that passageway, you return a lot to who you really are, not Dannion or Jimmy. You're a different being. This was a job. This is something you came to do to further along the greatness of the unfoldment of the universe. And every moment and every one of us are important in that dynamic, and we have to get that across to ourselves. And so when a person looks at themselves from the way I looked at the panoramic life review, it was horrible. I was give me a break. I was the most mindless, self-centered, egomaniacal sociopath. This is who I was. And when I had this experience, it wasn't so much by choice, Jimmy, that I've become the person I am, except, I was struck by lightning a second time 3 years apart because I had begun to resent people. I think I have a very playful relationship with the heavens. Mess with them, they'll kill me for it. So I got struck by lightning the second time, and it was 3 years. It was in May. And so that was a wake-up call for me to reevaluate what I was thinking about other people. And I didn't have a near-death experience. I was just unconscious, and it took me like 2 weeks to get my bearings back, but I had time to stop and look at it from a very spiritual or ethereal point of view.
Right.
So when that happens, I have no fear of a structured system. We have gestation for how we have birth, and we can anticipate it now, and we can photograph it, sonogram it, and we have it. Well, leaving this world is the same way. Nobody dies. Nobody. And when people talk to me about ascension, that they're going to turn into their light body and they're going to take this body, and when you start religiously telling me that the only reason we put people in caskets and bury them in the ground is Christianity says you're trapped in that body and in that casket until Jesus comes back, and that's why we bury people. Well, if you've been where I've been, Jimmy, there is no way I would ever let them take me to the place there if I was going to be buried. So I've decided to be cremated.
There are, it's up to themselves, but there are people that are religious based right now that are listening to this that are going to be offended. And my answer to that, well, that's fine. You have been raised in your beliefs and you're not going to change. But there are those out there that actually maybe need to listen and learn something too as well, without offending, but keep your ears open and want to acquire knowledge instead of being closed off.
Yeah, but also too, Jimmy, mine comes from caring about people, not forming opinions.
Right.
And I die with people. It's what I do.
Right.
And I have a job. It's not like I'm out like on some hero. I run a company, and I write books so I could fund the Twilight Brigade. I do readings. I do consultations so I can fund this endeavor about what I believe is my part in birthing the new age, the Center program, which is what I said. I was sent back for two things. I wrote it in Saved by the Light. One was Spiritualistic Capitalism, which is writing books, has funded the Twilight Brigade, along with help from a lot of really cool people. People come in and donate, and I appreciate it. And then the other part is this center, this program that allows people to journey out of this realm, especially if they're dealing with grief and loss or they're facing transition. And I have built my reputation in that world and who I am in the Twilight Brigade, and 40 years as a hospice volunteer and 32 years in the VA. I know what I'm talking about. So I don't mean to offend anybody. But if that part of religion and why we bury people why we bury them other than how the Egyptians did it. Okay, they take the boat, okay, and the Greeks had the crossing the river sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the teachings of religion is that Jesus is going to come back and raise you up out of that body and take that body with him to heaven. Well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but in the world that I have lived in and in the world that I live in where people are in transition, it's just not a smart thought.
You know what's really funny with that thought? And some religious person who doesn't know you and steps back and goes, man, you better be careful, man. You're going to get struck by lightning. And you're going to go, well, so?
And, and guess what? That's what happened.
Oh, that is too funny. Oh, man, I haven't laughed that hard on the air in a long time, Dannion. And,
well, I'm glad it's me. Then you can call me tomorrow and you can thank me.
That's right, and I certainly will. We've got about a minute to the break. I did want to ask you the other part of the legend, which is you come up and there's Gabriel or some saint or somebody standing there in front of you with a checklist going, okay, you've got to answer for these 2 or 3 things before we let you pass. Is that something that actually happens? It doesn't necessarily have to be religious, but do you?
No, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
No, once you have the panoramic life review, that's between you and you. That's the higher you. There's a higher you at work. People don't. When you drill down into my belief systems, I don't honestly believe that much of you is here. I would say that what you think is all here physically.
Right.
Is probably, I would probably say, might be 7 to 8% of who you are. You project yourself into this physical body. You're not here. I mean, I have a whole lecture that I do on quantum perspective, dealing with chaos and entanglement, that explains it. So there is no body, no book of judgment. All that stuff is the panoramic life review. Once you've faced it and you've looked at it and you saw your intentions, and mine was horrible. It was horrible, and the only way I could really dealt with it was the person of the higher nature of me that was watching it. We have trapped and locked ourselves from access to stuff that is common natural knowledge as spiritual beings. And why we have done that in each of us is so that we could achieve things that benefit the unfoldment that the divine is doing, and that we can watch ourselves interact in situations that normally as a spiritual being would be of no interest. But the other point is this: practicing being a divine being with all the obstacles and fear is one of the greatest opportunities of having a human birthed life that anybody in spirit could want for.
That's exactly right. Let's take a break right here. And that's, and it's so funny, Danny, doing the right thing, right? Going down that path, that's hard work. It's easy being a schmuck. That's an easy way through life, but it's hard to do the right thing, and we all should practice that. This is Fade to Black. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk to Dannion about what's going on out there in Las Vegas. Some revelations here that are about to happen on the show. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Dannion Brinkley. Now, we'll get back to the NDE subject in just a bit, and we're going to open up the phone lines at the top of the hour, so get ready for all of that. But Dannion lives in Las Vegas, and we were talking last week about various things, and the subject of the Las Vegas shooter came up, and Dannion laid it out to me, and it was interesting. I can't even put it into words, Dannion, but let me say this as we start this conversation. The media has let this story go. And so what may be going on out there, it doesn't really matter. The media is not letting the rest of the country or the world know the facts. And or not only facts, but what is being talked about out there. So let's kind of start there, Dannion. Why do you think the media has shut this story down, and effectively so, by the way?
Well, because it didn't work. Everybody out here, there's nobody who believes anything that they're saying. There's probably 2% of people that have anything to do with Paddock. I mean, they don't believe it. People in Las Vegas are smart, and they're always, I mean, this is a place that looks at opportunity, legacy, history, you know, and social media. So they have their cameras on. And I have kids who are in their 20s and 40s who have friends who work on the Strip, you know, not just a small group of people, but a large network. So everybody knows, and the events that played out, watch how wild this is. The events that played out here in Las Vegas, the fact that over on Boulder Highway they had 15 vehicles with FBI in them earlier that afternoon in Henderson. People notice that stuff and film it. So when you look at it, it's being played out now in Saudi Arabia. The kid who's arresting all those guys, in Saudi Arabia to break up the corruption scandal,
right.
He was here. He was in the top of the Mandalay Bay. That's where they stay.
The Saudi, the royal family owns that top floor, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. So he was here. He was playing cards or something somewhere. I think it was the Flamingo or the Tropicana, and they missed him. And then they got wise. I mean, everybody knows this story. 200 bullets in the door. Anybody's ever shot at can listen to the sound. One had to either be, the first round had to either be belt driven, or if it was spring driven, like it was a clip, it jammed. It had to have jammed, because in a clip, if it was a 30-round clip, it's still, no matter what, unless it's one of those rare weapons, it's going to jam. And then the second round, and then they were they got a guy at the Bellagio. They had some people down at the Hard Rock. I mean, they were gathering people at the Hard Rock like strike forces because they were on the street. So I have a sneaking suspicion that it was a setup, because when they heard he had cameras and he was filming in those cameras, from my past in the world, Jimmy, that's a buy. Somebody's setting up a sting to sell somebody, and you film them coming in, you film them buying, you film them leaving, and that's why the cameras, which we've never seen anything of or heard of. So it was a setup, and so two stories. Some say that the guys got wise to it. And that the shooting was, this is one story, the shooting was to draw attention away while they were going to make their way to the top floor or block it off, so that if the royal family tried to escape, of that group. Then the other story was that the people who were coming to purchase, that were in the sting, got wind of it and started shooting out of that, and the guy kept trying to hit the gas tanks. So when you know that that's happening, that's somebody on a suicide mission, or saw that they were going to get caught. So it was a sting operation that went bad, and nobody talks about the guy in Tennessee that they caught with some of the same type of weapons and with the same file markings to take off the serial numbers.
So what I had mentioned on the show probably the day after, immediately, that it felt to me like this was, a gun deal. There was,
that's what it was.
Yeah, there were gun running. This is like a drug deal gone bad.
Or two-layered events. Think of this. Maybe it doesn't happen very often, because the guy scoped out 2 or 3 other places. Everybody knows that. That means the best place to take advantage of the sale or the use of the sale or what that plan was.
Right.
Okay? All right. So when you look at that, you know that it went wrong because they buried it within days. They never took into consideration how many cell phone cameras would be on. And my kids tell me about friends who tell them that they've been threatened.
How so?
Been threatened with their jobs, what not to talk about, what they saw, what not to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, no, don't talk about it. Even though they know what they saw, they can't talk about it, and that's you hear it from 7 out of 10.
Now, why would the FBI be... The FBI wasn't there because there was about to be a mass shooting. The FBI was there because they knew that they had a sting operation that was set up for this gun deal, and that's why they were in town. The shooting was not a planned event, was it?
No.
No. They were there because there was a sting operation.
Yeah, and you think about this. When you talk about rounds, you talk about all the bullets on the floor, and you can tell by using acoustics how many shots were fired.
Right.
Okay, but when you listen to that, how much ammunition was still there? Because if it was a normal cell, if you were going to set up and it was a sting operation, then he had all the cameras, he had them coming and going, he had inside cameras, it was all set up so it could be recorded. Then if he was going to do that, then he would have just enough loaded magazines. And the way they describe the setup, it's usually how you display weapons. If you're going to do a deal, you want to do a showcase display. But you don't want to have very many rounds there unless it was like to show the size of the round and that stuff. So how many rounds were there left over? No one ever, no matter how many times people ask those questions, no one answers it. It failed. It failed, and on top of that, it happened in the same time frame when they were going after this prince. I mean, people, I can sit and listen to what people talk about who work there. So here we are looking, Jimmy, not as like a conspiracy, but here we are why are we doing this boat cruise? Like purpose. Really people looking at what's their passion and their purpose, because all these things come about in some way to manipulate us. Has to be manipulators, because once you create anxiety, which leads to hypertension, and once you create hypertension, then you become unnerved. It's like being an Israeli. It's PTSD. And if you can demonstrate that psychologically, then you cause people to react because they're on edge based on hypertension. This is standard stuff you learn in the military, and they know all this. So if you create that place in people, then people react, just like we had. It's like what happened in what's happening in Baltimore and in Chicago. These are reactionaries based on people being made frightened. Terrorism is a political event, and if you can shoot some and you wound, I mean, there's so many questions about if you had 58 or 59 people die and 517 injured, then what about those other cases that were gunshot wounds that come in? There's no breakdown on those who could have possibly died in the hospital with as much blood as they said that was there. You just stop and really think about that stuff, and here we are again, everybody. What's real about it and what's not? Was it a show for us, or was it a controlled event to succeed, that based on that this is still America, this is Las Vegas.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And the cameras were on. There's a piece of video for everything that they say was one person. There's a piece of video that completely destroys it.
See, this
Bellagio.
is and this is what is really strange, where I call BS, Dannion, is it's very simple. If it was a shooter, one guy in a hotel room, it's an open and shut case, he is dead. Show us all of the video. There's video of the hallways of the hotel lobby. He had cameras. There was things that were recording inside of his room. There is. Show us the video, and they have not. Why? Because it's going to conflict with their story,
and it's going to prove some type of conspiracy on the part of those agencies. I mean, no one would bury it this fast and disappear. The largest massacre, supposed massacre in American history. And where is its conversation? It has disappeared. Now that is skilled mainstream media at its best.
Right. And the authorities, it doesn't matter if it's federal or the city and state officials and law enforcement, had all of the opportunity to lay this thing out from the beginning. And if it's a single shooter, the timeline and everything is simple. He's dead. There's no court case. There's nothing, no evidence to protect. There's nothing that they need to present in a courtroom. This is just now should be public domain. And they weren't able to answer anything or get their story straight and still haven't today.
Well, here's something else to observe, and this is personal because I don't want to stay on this, but this is personal. The Sheriff Lombardo, this is a really good man, Jimmy. This is a good man, and this is a good cop. I mean, I pay attention to politics, and I pay attention to the place where I live, and we live here in South Carolina. But I pay attention and I vote, and this is a good man. And I saw a complete shift and change in his personality as he did the shows, as he did the opening, and when he came to that, I'm just going to read from the narrative. Mm-hmm. It's one of the videos. When he said that, his facial expression told me the kind of pressure he had to be under, with me knowing and trusting him as my sheriff. Okay, and I had to empathize with the pressure he must be under, because when he's having to say, I'm not going to read from the narrative, then that means it wasn't him that created it.
Why leak, this is the other thing I would like your opinion on this, why leak the crime scene photos, which they did? You know, they know exactly who and what leaked the images from inside of the hotel room and Paddock's body. Why leak those photos?
Visible structure. If you're going to structure reality, you put physical location, because people deal with things that you can touch more than things that you can feel or sense. Okay, then you create a pattern. All right, and then you look at how you best create those visuals. I do not trust it. I mean, I don't trust it in my heart. I mean, we sat down with Catherine and I, and we sat down and we called all the kids to see where they were. And then we sat down and opened up our hearts with everything that we could possibly think of to protect those souls and those beings who suddenly entered a plane that somewhere along the line they had to have made that decision, but they were suddenly entering a place that where they came to celebrate. And then when I look at it from a point that this is a bunch of country and western people, you know, they're the heartbeat of what is American music. Country and western is an American music. Mm-hmm. And to choose that particular place to create as much controversy and as much hero worship for an organization that catches or busts or stops something like that.
Right.
I mean, all that is just politics and PR.
And what about the security guard? Because his story didn't match. It was changed a few times, but then there's this rumor going around that he went to Mexico immediately after the shooting. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, he went to Mexico. He had to go and get away. You know, you had to catch your breath. No, the only thing that you ever look for is the timeline. This is what every investigator or everybody who was doing setups long, long ago in my life, I understand how this all works. And who's doing the setup, how you set up what's called the advance, what the advanced teams do. Mm-hmm. Okay, so knowing that they used that storyline coming off the top, without him and him being in the hallway until the people got there, then he is the only real witness to the events based on he was wounded in the hall. Okay, so for him not to be available and for him not to be able to be questioned means they have to seal it off, and he'll probably get depressed and jump out of one of those windows. I don't mean that. Right. But he's the person, Jimmy, that structures the timeline, because everything is told in the timeline. What was the timeline? And as they keep skewing the timeline, and they're going to give us more information when they get it, and 58 people are dead. What does that say?
What's it like in Vegas now? What's the mood like there?
People are aware. I mean, we're just, this is our community. People are aware. And Vegas Strong, they created this moniker. But there is I think it was a terrible mistake. Whoever plotted this and planned this, they made a terrible mistake, because people are aware here that what they hear is not true. These are the people who live here, and what they hear is not true. And then Vegas has a way of taking back our own. It's designed a certain way, and people come here for conventions, and they come here for that place that gives them that escape and lady luck. Mm-hmm. So the city comes back. But it was a terrible mistake to let as many people in the age demographics become aware of how poorly they had planned the scenario.
And what's the Mandalay Bay like right now? Is it back, or
that floor is still sealed off.
Say that again.
That floor is still sealed off.
Right.
Okay, because the longer you do it and you suppress all that information, Mandalay Bay, MGM properties, when you look at the size of that structure and everything that would come out about it either turns you against the Mandalay Bay or created you an opinion of the Mandalay Bay.
Right.
So they suppress that stuff. I can't deny that it's not good business in what they're doing. But what's important about it is what's the real story, and there's no way they can get away with this.
What's the and of course, when it comes to tourism, that's what Las Vegas is based. That's it. That's the economy. Is the Mandalay Bay like half booked now, or do you think that the tourists are afraid to stay there?
No.
And what about? Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. And
they suppressed it. Look, Jimmy, they suppressed it. You give them credit. They suppressed it in such a way that half the world doesn't know about it.
Right.
You limited how it flows outward, and you can look at what's on Facebook or you can look at what's on YouTube. It's very limited. Someone's restricting the data. I just know this because I live here.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know this as well as I know the real options, but because I live here and, I know people whose kids work there, what they were told, what they saw.
Yeah, somebody just posted that they'll probably tear down the walls and the floor and rebuild that whole thing and sanitize it before it's opened back up to the public.
Yeah, because it's a suite. It's like it might. I don't know. I don't know what a suite is. It might be 1,000 square feet or 1,300 square feet. And it was strategically played.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Who would stay in that room again? Maybe they
nobody.
Would. Yeah, nobody. I wouldn't.
Or 100,000 people.
Yeah. What was the room number? Huh. They would change.
It was the 32nd floor.
Well, yeah, I know. What I mean is
1818 something.
Well, whatever the room number is, they'll change it, right? They wouldn't have that back on the door again.
Or maybe. You don't know. It's Las Vegas. I go back to the business consciousness side about it. It's Las Vegas, and, there are people in this world who would love to stay in that room to think what he wanted to think, or have empaths or psychics or people go and see if they can figure out what it is. I watch how all that is unfolding.
Right.
And, and then you have to watch to see who's telling you what. There is never a single conversation about this guy who can set the timeline, this security guard who can set the timeline. There is no information about him, and you can call and ask about it, and they're not going to put out false information. That means they cannot create a timeline that anybody, based on what they see as the data that's out there with cell phone cameras, that they can override.
Do you think that they'll have concerts across the street again? And what kind of security? I can only imagine what would go down at all of the hotels there overlooking that outdoor venue.
Well, I think that's part of the jargon. I mean, that's when it gets to the business side. You hear all those stories of how secure you're going to have to be, and how you're going to have to take that, and they had to put up screenings and all that stuff.
Right.
But people won't stand for it.
Right.
They won't stand for it. This is Las Vegas. They won't stand for it. They're not going to stand for it.
Let's take a break right here, Dannion, and we're going to open up the phone lines and have some fun when we come back. So everybody just get ready. Call early, call often. We'll take phone calls after the break. And
have a question.
That's all you got to do. Just have a question, okay? And we'll get through this, and we'll have a lot of fun here. And so let's take a break right now. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. This is Fade to Black. We're going to open up the phone lines right now for Dannion Brinkley. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Dannion Brinkley is our guest. Phone lines are open, 323-825-5045. Now, just have a question. That's all you got to do. Just ask Dannion a question, and we'll take it from there. You ready to go, Dannion?
I am.
All right, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Debbie from Sacramento.
Hi, Deb from Sacramento. What's your question for Dannion tonight?
Hi, Dannion. Thanks for coming on the show, Dannion. It's been great. My question is regarding...
Deb, let me ask you a question. Do you think Jimmy and I are boring?
What's that?
Do you think that Jimmy and I are boring?
No. Jimmy show's never boring.
Okay, I'm ready for your question, Deb.
Okay. Regarding the Vegas thing, I'm a little bit confused. I know you don't have all the answers and you're speculating with some of it, but when you say it may have been a gun operation that went wrong, the people that fired on the crowd, are you saying that it was the people that knew they were going to get busted, they turned on the crowd and fired, or it was the feds that actually...
No, I don't think it was the feds. I think it were the people who were in. They got wise to it some way. Paddock was dead. They killed him automatically. And why I was saying earlier, Deb, is when you know how much ammunition is in the place, then they would already know it was a sale. And when you look at how many shots were fired, so what would appear from either 32 or 30 or 4, all those blast scenes that you could see. When you look at that, the shots had to be fired by those people who probably would never have escaped. But the thing that we heard was there were 3 bodies in the room.
Wow, there you go. Deb, thank you for the phone call. And I've always wondered about that, though. When we talk about stuff like this, and going back to like 9/11, that would we intentionally kill our own citizens? That's the part that just freaks me out, and I don't like going there with that thought process. But you look at 9/11 and just
I don't either. But I in one of my past lives, I didn't know exactly. I just did what my job was. You know, everything's so compartmentalized. Nobody knows what anybody else is doing. I just lived long enough to see what it was.
Right.
But we create realities, and we rationalize it. You know, think of this. We can absolutely prove unequivocally that we not only created ISIS or ISIL or Daesh, we not only created it, we funded it.
Right.
That is not a single doubt for anybody who looks at it, that we created this, taking who were our enemies and hiring them to fight for this thing to overthrow Syria.
Right.
We already know that that's the absolute truth, and Trump stopped it. He stopped that funding. Okay, so when you stop to think about that for a moment, we have guys who are dying. We have guys who are really messed up, and I see them all the time, and they're kids, you know, and you see wounded warriors, and, you know, you look at what this is, and you ask yourself, over what, knowing that that's the truth. So when you look at it, we don't have to go back to 9/11. Nobody can explain that. And in the final report, they never put Building 7. I mean, they never even brought it into question.
Right. Let's
3,000 constructional engineers said there ain't no way it happened the way they said it. So I just rather look at my guys who are coming now. I'm in the last of the World War II, mini Korea and early Vietnam people.
Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Dannion.
Hi, Dannion.
Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy. This is Fran.
Hi, Fran. What's your question for Dannion?
Well, what I'm wondering about this, my father was a Korea War person and World War II, Vietnam twice, and when he passed back in 2007, he was alone. He didn't have me. He didn't have my mother with him at the time. And I'm wondering, is there any way that you think that he's okay with that, or was there something more that I could have done?
What was his first name?
I was at work.
All right, what was his first name?
Frank.
What was your dad's first name? Frank. Okay. Well, here's number one. Number one, I can tell you that he's safe. That's not a problem. And what happens is that, just like we were talking earlier, trust me on this. Most people don't need to be alone, and some do. But if he had needed you to be there, if that's what he had needed, then it would have happened. This would have happened because what a person needs to have closure to let go is those things. And I have seen some of the most remarkable events in the world of a woman waiting for her sister to come to see her and literally living off of a glass of water a day for 55 days. And I watched this happen, and I've seen people with no chance whatsoever. But if he would have needed you there, okay, let me tell you something about him. He did not heed warning. About 4 months before he got to where he passed, he had an incident or a crisis that was like telling everybody, and that was forewarning. And that was his warning to himself, right?
Yes.
Okay. That was his warning to himself, but that was also him spiritually setting up who and what he would need. Well, from that moment on, the conversations that he had with everybody was trying to find resolution. He changed in a way that he would, I won't say listened more, but he talked less.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
He did listen more.
All right, so in answer to your question, you did not need to be there. I mean, and I'm getting this straight off the hotline. You did not need to be there, and your dad loves you.
I know he does.
And one more thing.
I got to speak to him 30 minutes before he passed.
Yeah,
and my mom was unable to be there for him.
Yeah, but that's okay.
And when my mom passed, my response was,
when
Dad
your mom
came
passed?
and picked her up. They wanted to go dancing.
Well, and Fran, thank you for calling in and getting closure like that. You know, the thing is, and thank you for the phone call. Yeah, absolutely.
And bless you, Fran.
And
you did enough.
And Dannion, I don't know if you're on hold. Stay right there. I just want to say this, Dannion. Do you ever, because of your abilities, do you ever get a read on somebody and you decide, not to say anything? Right?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. In the early years, I mean, from solving murders to to having to make a choice about whether I was affecting their karmic existence. You know, I tell a story about the woman, and I knew she was going to get hurt, and I took her car keys away. Now, think about if I took her car keys away today. I mean, I wouldn't get out of jail for a month.
and what about, and do you ever get a read on somebody that turns you off so much that you don't even talk to that person or take their phone calls or say hello?
No, I don't like people monitoring. I mean, I don't like that. I want the call to come from whatever's moving that person.
Right. Okay, you know, fair enough.
I'm open, and I can take it. And mine is about trying to be, like right now, mine is trying to take that question and take this show and put as much divine, pure closure and happiness that we can in that conversation. Because Frank, how I understood Frank, I can go, it's called the record. I listen to the sound of a person's voice.
Right.
You know, it's very mechanical how I operate. I listen to the sound of their voice. It has a certain tone.
Right.
In that tone, I match harmony with that frequency, and then I listen to the verb and how a person conjugates that verb and what person or text they put that verb. I access what I believe is the record because I can see things that are happening that are in the course of the event that is based on the question that she asked, which set the intent.
Amazing. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Dannion.
Hi, Dannion. Hi, Jimmy. This is OG Debbie.
Hi, OG Debbie. How are you?
Pretty good. And yourself?
We have Dannion Brinkley on. You know what kind of mood I'm in.
You can't be bad at all, right?
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. What do you have for Dannion?
Well, I just wanted to ask him. A lot of things have been going on in my life. Just wanted to know what he saw for my future. What kind of things should I be involved in? Or what's coming?
This is. Let's create it now. Okay. Watch. Okay. Here's how you create a future. When you come to a certain point to call in like us, then you put in your trust and your faith in us. So let's design something. What right now do you think could make you the happiest in your life?
I don't know. Maybe my art.
Okay, well then watch this. The answer to the question is being appreciated. Okay,
yeah,
that would
be nice.
Is you being appreciated as you look at yourself and you look at your flaws. This is what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks. You look at yourself and you look at the flaws, and you're putting more pressure on yourself than you deserve to. You don't need to put as much pressure on yourself as you're reviewing yourself and looking at you. Okay, but what's missing is to be appreciated. Well, right now tonight you're being appreciated by Jimmy, this audience, myself, because you open up your hearts to us. So in your art, how do you rename it? If it's got to be art, is it photography?
Well, I do photography, but I also paint.
Okay, so I would go with photography.
Okay.
I would go with photography. Okay, and I would master my eye. I would stop and master my eye. I believe that you have an eye for photography, and I think your paintings, you don't well define your paintings. They're paintings and they're beautiful, but they're not defined, and it's not like a definable art as well as your eye is with that camera.
There you go, Deb. OG.
Okay, sounds promising.
Thank you so much, Deb. We'll see you tomorrow night.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Dannion, for all you do.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Deb. The eye for the camera, right? You're saying it right there, and I want to know before I go back to the calls here, what did you see or what did you hear in her voice that led you, to the photography side instead of her art?
Because I can listen, and the art is not achieving. When I asked that question the same way, it's I hate to say it, it's so mechanical.
Right.
I wish it was something cosmic about it, but it's not. I live here, so it's not cosmic to me.
Right.
I guess it is to some people, or it's a little overwhelming, but it's not there for me. And so when I'm looking at how she's defining herself to be appreciated, there is a photograph is worth 1,000 words, and that she has the eye, she has the artist eye, looking at framing a picture would give her back control in her life and her being able to produce something that gives herself a self-appreciation, and she will have accomplished something in changing her life.
Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Dannion.
Hi, Dannion. This is Stacy with an I from Colorado.
Hi, Stacy. With an I from Colorado.
With an I.
What do you have for Dannion tonight?
Well, I love when he's on, because I have done hospice work and birth work, and it all just resonates with me so well. But just over 2 years ago, my baby brother chose to end his life. And I don't have any sort of closure about that. And it's been such a terrible struggle for me to recognize and supporting other people through their deaths and finding such joy in that.
Wait a second. All right, so remember that this is something you're taking personal. The difference, don't consciously look at your professional side, because what you do as a profession is angelic. Forget all that. That's angelic. What you're doing is you're mad at him. So bring this into a personal frame, not in your business frame. Don't mix the two. You're mad. Okay? Now, we have to determine what you're the most mad about. And I think it's you. I think it's you thinking of him being selfish and you trying to figure out how to blame yourself for it.
Is he right, Stacy?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of know he had a traumatic brain injury, and it had been a long struggle, and so I know he has to feel better, but I just feel zero. He just didn't. We had no idea. It was just so out of the blue, and he had pulled away from the family. So I guess closure is what I haven't had, that I've been longing for, and
Okay, then
it's tangled.
Let me tell you what happens. Okay, and tell me his first name.
Please. His name was Dale. His name is Dale. His birthday was Monday, so I was so glad to get the call.
You were so glad to get past it?
No, the call now.
To get to call in tonight and get to
right.
speak
Okay,
to
got
you,
it.
because
Okay,
he's been on my heart.
So let me ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
So what you're describing is, as he alienated himself from the family, and it became such a surprise, do you think there was something more that you should have done?
Well, maybe, yeah, in a way, because we had to ask him to leave our home because
nothing's wrong with that.
Addiction issues, yeah. So we had to set boundaries, and then he never spoke to me again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now there's nothing wrong with that. When it was time for him to go, that was not a decision that you made fully. That was a decision that was made basically in defense and protection of you. So that was okay. Yeah. Next. Okay. What he did was not to avenge or get revenge. This was long suffering, Stace. This was long suffering.
I knew.
This was the inability to formulate patterned thoughts. He could not structure patterned thoughts. Like if he was going to tell you how he felt, then it would end up not being, it would be jumbled. It wouldn't be patterned. Am I right?
You are right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So as this was not a point, this was long suffering. And everybody, as you made the right decision, he had to come to a place to seek help in his own self, knowing what was happening and refusing to do that. But it was not, he did not do this because he was getting even. He was not getting even, and it was not a thought that when this happened, It was not a thought about anything that had to do with the actions that were taken that forced him out. And the other thing, too, is this, Stace. It was such a relief. And, you're not supposed to tell this stuff, but it was such a relief because his personality, I won't say ego, but his personality and what was happening to him and to where the torture that he was under had begun to so physically affect what was happening to him that he chose not to stay here. But you were completely absolved. And I promise you this, Stace, if you had done something that was wrong in this, I would tell you that. I wouldn't tell you that on the air, but I would tell you that you can let go of this, because when he made these decisions, it was not based on something that you had done. It's almost as though the decision that was made was a benefit to him.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is there it sounds like the word long, like Long. Is there something that has to do with him that has to do with the either a name Long?
No. No.
Okay. It's just I'm picking that up, and I'm trying to figure out how it fits in there, because he is putting himself in a place. This is like when you get back on the other side and once you have the life review, okay, and you need to work through it. You need to stop and you need to work through it, because I think the biggest thing that he is dealing with right now is how angry he was unnecessarily angry he was at everybody.
He was. It was part of the brain injury.
Instead of taking care of himself, but it was him not taking care of himself. He knew to do it. And what he's doing now, Stay, so we can tell what he's doing now, he's working through this life. He's working through it in a very safe, protected place. You can let it go.
And he's good.
Yeah, and Stacy, always be positive about this, because it's awesome. But this is the thing, and I want you to post on Twitter tomorrow, for Dannion to say the word long, very specific. That's a specific thing.
Right, I know. I need to. I'm going to play this for my mom.
I know, right? And let us know. Let us know tomorrow, Stace.
Yeah.
All right?
I will. And I'm going to send out a picture of him in a few minutes, because he was special to me. I loved my Brubby Dale. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let it go. You're not guilty of anything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stace.
Be blessed, Stace.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
The word long.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you, Stace. Let us know. And call in tomorrow to the show. Thank you so much. What a great phone call. I got time for one more. Let's take in one more call tonight with Dannion. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Gene. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm not bad. My question for Dannion is that my mother passed in 2006, and I never made it home to see her before she passed. But recently, I live alone, and I'll turn off my TV and go to bed at night, and I get up and it's on again. And I got a feeling she's trying to reach me in some kind of way or form. Can you tell me anything about that?
Okay, tell me her first name.
Rebecca.
Interesting.
No, it's. I would say that what is the trigger mechanism that makes you think she's trying to get in touch with you?
I don't know, but I don't have I don't set the timer on my TV. I just turn it off, and I'll get up in the middle of the night. It's on when I come in here. I live alone.
Okay, so this is either a quirk in the computer chip, or that's somebody trying to get in touch with you. Okay, well then let's take it to here. I would say that it would be it would be more than just your mom that's making this kind of signaling. You know, most of the time that's creating this kind of electrical interference and bringing it on. That means it's time for you to wake up. You need to see what time it is. Okay? And I think that this might sound crazy to you, but I think this is a pattern of personages more than it is your mom. But let me ask you something. Did your mother have did she have I think two sisters that she and one sister that she was really close to and one she was kind of close to?
Yes.
Really? Okay, have they both are they here or over there?
No, one is here and one is over there.
Okay, so the one that she liked the best is still here. All right.
No, the one she liked the best is over there.
Okay, so here's what I would do. I would go and have a conversation with her. I would sit down and tell her that you have a feeling that I don't know, I wouldn't exactly say that your mother's trying to contact you, but in order to create a way that we have a straight pattern, by talking to that sister and getting into conversation with her about your mom, that opens up that gateway that she can come through. Okay, but also this light business, this cutting on and off of the television, that takes a lot of power. That takes a lot of power because you have to move in from that what's the sixth or seventh dimension into the fifth to operate here in the fourth. So that is a force more greater. So here's what I would do. I would set a certain time within that framework that you focus on to receive. Okay, you get your liquid trace minerals in your system and you focus on to receive, because I think getting to your mom is what you're sensing is what this other sister needs from you. Because by going and have this conversation, you will fulfill mom's communication with this sister or her sister. You'll probably be a trance channel. I mean, it'll be great to come back and tell Jimmy this story.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, all right, and then...
Can I squeeze one other question in real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, my employment future, what's that look like for me? I have a day job that I've been there for like almost 7 years now, and I love it. But I have a boss that I don't get along with too well. So how's that look for me?
But that's not the issue. Okay, so here's a lot of the reason why this light, because it's about decision. Okay, now, I think that you should give middle ground. I think you should give middle ground because this boss, his issues are not with you. If it was an issue with you, okay, that's a different place. But it's not. These issues are his issues, and so I would give ground because you're happy here, and not only that, this is in this change that you will make probably in March, and you can come back and tell this big shift that'll come in March. It's the best place for you to operate from, but it's not you, it's him.
Thank you so much, Jay, and thank you for being the last call of the night. That was absolutely amazing. And we'll see you tomorrow night on the show. Jimmy. Absolutely. Right. Thank you.
Take care, my brother.
All right, good night.
Really quick, Dannion, I want to thank you, obviously, for being a friend and coming on the show. But what is the best way for everybody to get a hold of you and keep on top of what you are doing? Is it Dannion and Catherine?
Dannion and Catherine. .com. We rebuild the site. We're rebuilding it now.
Right.
I mean, I want people to pay attention to this purpose, passion, and purpose tour. It's divine travel. I mean, because we have such a good time on these things, Jimmy, and I get a chance to sit and help people because I could tell there's something more happening in the guy's life, the guy that was just on.
Right.
And coming and finding and focusing on these kind of tours, and then there are the readings. People can come to Dannion and Catherine and find me, and as long as they structure their questions, because you see how I am, as long as they structure their questions and they're asking me questions, I can move through I think it's the fabric of reality and find those points in places that help align them.
Thank you so much, my friend. And we'll see you. Man, Conscious Life Expo is coming up in just 2 short months.
God, that's so exciting.
I can't wait. And I do want to go to the VA. So the next time you're in town, give me a call.
We'll do that before.
Absolutely.
And tell Rita that she has excellent taste in men. And Catherine and I send you both our love.
Yeah, thank you so much. Give our best to Kat as well, and I hope Rita heard that. So thank you, Danny. Have a great night, my
Jimmy.
friend.
You too, my brother.
I'll talk to you. Dannion Brinkley.
Bye.
Yeah, the best. Dannion Brinkley, everybody. DannionandCatherine.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'll keep the phone lines open. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Open up the lines. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Dannion Brinkley, the absolute very best. We have the best and the brightest on this show every single night. And I get to do this. This is my gig. It's just amazing. I'm just sitting here listening to Dannion and the way that he connects with everybody. And I'm telling you, it kind of freaks me out. It makes you wonder, what does he know about, me? You go up, and this happens. So when you get a chance to meet Dannion, and if you come out to the Conscious Life Expo, and you want to meet Dannion, I'll make sure that it happens for you. But this is the thing. So you get up to Dannion, and everybody is wanting the Dannion hug, right? I mean, there's like a line of people for this, right? And so anyway, just kick back, and I do it all the time. Ask Rita. It's one of the coolest things, is kick back and watch this go down, and watch the face of the person that walks away from the hug. It's amazing. It's amazing. And that's all it is. Just a hug. It's very, very cool. So come and hang out with us at the Conscious Life Expo. And Dannion is, like I said, he's easy to spot. You just look around the room and you look for that ray of, that beam of light. It's crazy. I guarantee it too, that after that happens, it's just a point of conversation after that. You watch the phone calls that come into Fade to Black after the Conscious Life Expo. Yep, you're right. Bet Dannion got the hug, and I found him because I followed the ray of sunshine that follows this guy around. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Dannion. It's DannionandCatherine.com. This cruise is coming up in March, so that is there. If you need to get a hold of Dannion for whatever, or his wife, Catherine, Kat, you can do that directly through the website. It's right there. And I'm serious. I'm so wanting to go to the VA with Dannion. I will do that. When he's in town next, I will do that and share that experience with everybody. I really want to go down there and check that out and see what it's all about. All right. Okay. Phone lines are open. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Now, a couple of things. I got a little iPhone alert. I mentioned this last night on the show, that since the iPhone X, right, has hit the market. Now I'm going to show everybody. I've got a 7 Plus. That's what I've got. Okay. I don't have the 8 or the X. I'm going to do that in a couple of months, but I just got this, and I love the iPhone. I've been converted off of Android, and everything about what Apple is about, I get it now. Okay, I hadn't experienced the iPhone, but the X is out, and it's $1,000. It's $1,000, and since it's hit the market, people have been trying all sorts of ways to trick the iPhone's ID feature. Now, the previous version, holding this up to the cameras, this little spot down here, that's your that's how you turn the phone on, and it reads your fingerprint. Okay, so I've got it set up for my index or for my thumb. You can do whatever, but that's how it is now. The X now doesn't have this anymore. It reads your face. It's got this face identification, face ID feature. While Apple has admitted that false positives can happen, it was thought that this would only happen with twins or siblings under the age of 13. However, a new video has popped up, and I've seen it, showing a 10-year-old unlocking his mother's phone, suggesting that any family members who bear enough resemblance might be able to bypass the system. In other words, unlocking your parents' iPhone. It gets a little creepy, doesn't it? In the video, the mother explains that despite setting up the Face ID for her face, her son was able to unlock the phone using his face. I've seen the picture of her, seen the picture of him. Now, he looks like his mom, but he's not just like his mom. No, right? He is able to unlock the phone using his face. Now, Wired Magazine did a report on the video that the son was able to do this upon picking up the phone for the first time. The son was also able to unlock his father's phone, but only once. After the mother re-registered her face under different lighting, which is what Apple recommends, the son wasn't able to unlock her phone. She re-registered a third time in dimmer lighting to replicate her initial registration, and then, once again, her son was able to unlock the phone. Although Apple says that Face ID is more secure than Touch ID, which I'm not buying that, this raises questions about the possibility of false positives, not only happening with twins and siblings around the same age, but with people of different sexes and significantly different ages. Remember, this is the mother's son unlocking the phone. It is possible that the son's age played a role, as Apple said that an undeveloped facial feature in those under the age of 13 could cause issues with Face ID. Now, Apple was throwing these numbers around, that it was 1 in 50,000 for fingerprints to be a false positive, and that the number is much, much higher. Don't correct me. I don't have that data in front of me, but it's much, much higher with facial recognition. What I don't buy into, and this is the drag, is that you need the phone to light up your face. So if you're in a dark place or a crowd or a restaurant and you need to unlock your phone with facial recognition, everybody around you is going to see you doing this, right? Unlocking your phone, looking into your phone. You still have the passcode that you can use, but this feature, unlocking the phone with your thumb, is gone, and or your index finger, and that kind of bothers me. And I just think that fingerprinting is. I think they should have dialed that in more and kept that feature on instead of using facial recognition. I think facial recognition is a gimmick. I really, really do. That technology, for me, I just don't think it's there. At least not with the processing power that you would need for a full facial recognition. A fingerprint or a thumbprint is totally different. I think that is completely accurate. And if you really need to fine-tune it and get out of the 1 in 50,000 and go to 1 in a million, my biology class, you have a unique fingerprint, right? Isn't that right? Somebody tell me right now on Twitter, a fingerprint is unique. Does anybody in the world have the same fingerprint as you? I don't think so, right? I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I'm not digging the facial ID. And I want to get the iPhone X. I'm not digging the cost of the cost of replacement glass, and it's front and back, by the way. But I do want to get the X. You know what's holding me off is the facial ID. I like this. I like that. I think it's cool. I think it's quick. And one of the things about Android that bugged me is that all you had to do to turn on that phone, which most people did, is just swipe, and the phone is on. I have a couple of phones here, and there's my Android, and all I got to do here is just swipe it. That's it. There is nothing protecting that phone at all. If anybody got a hold of it, they'd have everything, by the way. All right. Also, last night, Zimbabwe's military, at 4 a.m. Zimbabwe time, did a live broadcast to the country saying that it's not a military coup, that Mugabe was safe and he wasn't arrested or anything like that. And I immediately thought, okay, that reeks of a military coup. That's exactly what's going on. When the military takes hold of the local TV station, the state-run TV station, and is making this announcement, and they are seen in the streets, and the United States Embassy is telling citizens to hunker down, that there's a military coup happening. Well, it's now official. The Zimbabwe's military leaders have seized control of the African nation, placing longtime leader Robert Mugabe under house arrest and deployed armored vehicles in the streets of the capital. Mugabe, 93 years old, is the world's oldest living leader. He's been the head of state there in Zimbabwe for 4 decades, 40 years. He was unable to leave his home, according to Jacob Zuma, the president of neighboring South Africa. Troops were reportedly stationed at Zimbabwe's parliament and the presidential palace. In a dramatic televised statement that I was just referring to, the military spokesman denied military takeover and that it was underway. But the situation bore all the hallmarks of a coup. And the military was in control of state TV, and a significant army presence at the international airport, police checkpoints, and so forth are throughout the country and in the city, the capital. So there you go. Mugabe has been thrown out of power in a military coup and takeover in Zimbabwe. Now, I had talked about earlier in the broadcast about Ross 128B. You better get used to hearing Ross 128B because, well, it's a cool name for a star anyway. But it's now an exoplanet, and that's B. The newly discovered exoplanet is the second closest found to our solar system. As I announced earlier, it is just 11 light years away. And they are now announcing that it can and could support life. Announcements about exoplanets are happening weekly. The amount of them is extraordinary. The headlines that went around the world in the last 24 hours about Ross 128b is alien life. It was in all of the headlines. I don't care what mainstream outlet you go to, inside of the United States or outside. Alien life is what is being thrown around here. But this is the question. What makes Ross 128b so unique, and why are they jumping on this alien life headline so quickly? Well, the planet is about the size of Earth, okay? And it may have a similar surface temperature, making it a temperate world. And they're talking water now. Now they're talking water. This is where it gets trippy for me. If you are going to continue this exoplanet bomb drop weekly and get closer and closer to start using these words like alien life, they know something. I don't know, with a planet that is 11 light years away from Earth, how they are able to judge these things. And I understand about temperatures and light waves and able to get chemical breakdowns of things. I understand that. But to suggest alien life and that it is the size of planet Earth and it's 11 light years away, where are they getting this information from? They are able to really extrapolate a lot. It goes around its sun every 9.9 days. Okay, here we know what it is. It's 365. 9.9 days is its orbit. Now it's hauling, right? It's a red dwarf star, which is the coolest, faintest, and most common stars found in the universe. But this is now what they are looking for. They're looking for red dwarfs. And that they know something. I'm telling you, there's something funky going on here. So now that they know, this is what they have told us. They're looking for planets around red dwarfs. That's where it's at right now. There's something right around the corner. I can't believe. When I went out and started looking at the headlines, because I had caught the word alien in one, I thought, wow, that's kind of strange. You want to announce an exoplanet. Dope name for an exoplanet. But is it flat? Ross 128b. But And then I started to see this alien comment in these headlines over and over again. You can do it right now. Go and Google Ross 128b exoplanet and look at the headlines and how this press release has been handled by all of the world's mainstream media. Something strange here, I'm telling you, is going on. It just doesn't feel right. To raise hopes, is that it? I don't know. Do they know something? Is the next time around going to be something a little bit more dramatic? I don't know. But to suggest alien life is strange. All right, now, nothing like the secret space program. I'm going to go here next. Elon Musk. The SpaceX program is launching. It has launched. It was 10 p.m. Eastern. Oh, wait a minute. It launched 2.5 hours ago. Launched a secret payload back up into space atop one of their Falcon 9 rockets, but they haven't announced what this payload actually is. No, they haven't done it. Let's call it covert. It launched from Kennedy Space Center on Merritt Island, Florida. But as the launch website puts it, and I'm quoting here, no other information is available about this mission. Right. Nothing. The secret space program, now we have the new space shuttle has now been revealed. We have the X-37B. We've got another flight going up right now with Elon Musk. I want to know how much of our nation's budget is being focused into the secret space program. The black budget, these projects that, and I was speaking with somebody over at Premier Radio this past weekend, where somebody came up to me and literally asked me what the Pentagon's budget was for the secret space program. And this was before the show started. I said, man, nobody knows. And nobody has audited the Pentagon ever. The Pentagon has never gone through an audit. And when I was speaking with them, we started to talk about the missing trillions of dollars. And the conversation was a little bit negative in that this person was saying there's no way that this would be allowed. I said, no, you've got to understand something here. The Pentagon has never been audited. They have a secret space program right now that is running. What is in that program? I don't know. What are they doing? I don't know. I can only tell you A, B, C, and D, the things that they are talking about publicly. But we don't know. We do not know what the missions are for the X-37B. It's up there for 2 years at a crack, 1 year at a crack, and we don't know. And I had explained, which I have done on the show before, and I'm trying to open up somebody's eyes. They just didn't realize the depth of what I was trying to propose here. And I'm going to get right back to Elon Musk in this latest launch. But with the X-37B, one plane, one project, just one, has so many flight controllers and scientists and engineers and staff and designers and the production people. They have to build this. That project is huge and it's complex, involving thousands of people. Not 2, not 3, thousands. They all have salaries. They all have the research. And that's just the X-37B. Then you have what's inside of the X-37B. What is it doing up there for 2 years? Again, think about what I am suggesting here. And that is just one sliver of it. Now that's that program. Now let's shift over to SpaceX and what they are launching right now for the Air Force. Don't know. Don't know what the satellite is. We're assuming it's a satellite. We don't know. And involved with this satellite is everything that is involved with the X-37B. There's 80 top secret satellites that have been launched for the Air Force and for the Navy, right? So each one of those, Think about it. The scientists, the engineers, the software designers, and everything that is involved in that program and the money. We have no idea. We don't have a clue. And it's just exactly what I'm talking about. The secret space program. The Navy and the Air Force announced this week about what was going on up in space and that we needed to defend our satellites, and we have to consider the use of kinetic weapons, and that if they are using kinetic weapons up there or lasers or anything else, that they couldn't talk about it anyway, but yet they're talking about the defense of our satellites and that the next war is going to be fought in space. And I totally understand that. It's not supposed to be weapons in space. But there is the evidence clearly of a secret space program, and they don't want to tell us. I don't understand. Again, I'm going to keep driving this home. I don't understand where the divide has started with us, the people of the United States, and not being told what our taxes are being spent on. What is the security of what? Disclose. Tell us exactly what is going on. To have trillions of dollars missing and programs that are being run that we don't know anything about when we have issues right here inside of this country that need to be fixed. Like tonight, Dannion dropped that bomb that veterans that are in a VA hospital, not now, today apparently, but used to have to pay for their own food while they're hospitalized. But yet, we can have a secret space program and missing trillions of dollars in this country? That doesn't make any sense. It's got to get fixed. I don't know how we're ever... Talk about disclosure. Let's disclose that. I am serious. I'm going to continue to drive this home. Every time I see another secret space mission, X-37B, another space shuttle, and things that are going on at Area 51 in the Mojave Desert. This is tons and tons of money. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing it. I'm saying how much, when, and where. Who is involved? Can we have a say in this? And we clearly don't. It's unbelievable. And with that, that wraps another Fade to Black. I want to thank Dannion Brinkley for coming in strong tonight. Amazing conversation. Tomorrow night is another Fader night. It's going to be open lines all night long. And, of course, John Rappaport's going to be here with his No More Fake Newsroom live. Open lines all night long. I'll see everybody tomorrow night. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Fade to Black is produced by... Oh, man, why did I do this again? Fade to Black is produced by LJ Paul, Mark D. Culver, LJ3, Renee, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitello, Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale, Webmaster, Drew the Geek, Music, Doug Aldrich, Intro, Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. What I was referring to is, what am I doing? I have these new mice here in the studio that have these wheels, and if you spin them, they have a clutch, and it lets go, and it goes into freewheel. It's really fun. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. They cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, Fader night, open lines all night long. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.